Hey everyone, today we're diving into a topic that, let's face it, affects every single one of us: unity. We're going to explore where it really comes from, using a key source text to guide us. Let's get right into it.
We've all been there, right? Those frustrating misunderstandings, arguments that seem to come out of nowhere, or just that feeling that you're totally out of sync with people. It really makes you wonder, why is real, genuine unity so darn hard to find? Well, this explainer is going to break down one perspective that offers a pretty profound answer.
So, what's the big idea here? Well, the core principle we're going to dig into is that true unity, it isn't just about what we do. It's not some checklist of actions you can follow. The argument from our source material is that unity actually starts inside of us. It's a state of mind.
And this is where things get really interesting. The source text draws this major line in the sand. It points out that for a long time, a lot of religious leaders were focused on outward behavior. You know, the rules you follow, the things you do. But Jesus, he kind of flipped the script. He shifted the focus inward, to our thoughts and our feelings, to what's really going on in our hearts. And check this out. This quote from Matthew, chapter 15, verse 19, it really nails this point. Jesus is basically saying that the root of all the conflict, all the stuff that pulls us apart, it doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from within us. All the things that create disunity, they start in our inner world of thoughts and intentions.
Okay, so if the problem starts in the mind, well, it makes sense that the solution has to start there too, right? And that brings us to the mindset that's absolutely foundational for unity. And our source text boils it down to one key quality: humility.
But humility can be a tricky word. What are we actually talking about here? It's not about thinking less of yourself. It's more like thinking about yourself less. The Apostle Paul gives this really powerful definition. It's an active way of thinking, a lowliness of mind, where you're making a conscious choice to put others first, to value their point of view, and to prioritize what they need.
And here's where we get that definition, straight from the source. Philippians chapter 2, verses 3 and 4. Paul is basically giving us a blueprint for how to interact with each other. And you got to notice the focus on why we do things, avoiding selfish ambition, and that active choice to esteem others better than himself. This isn't just a passive feeling, you know? It's a deliberate mental posture we have to choose.
Okay, let's be real for a second. That is so much easier said than done, right? It pretty much goes against every one of our natural instincts. But just admitting that, acknowledging how hard it is, that's a huge first step. It shows us just how intentional we have to be to actually put these ideas into practice in our lives.
So, if this humble mindset is the what, the big question is, how do we actually do it? How do we take this idea and turn it into real, practical actions that can actually build some harmony in our relationships? Let's break down the steps.
And this is where it gets super practical. The source lays out 3 really clear steps. First up, listen to understand. Think about it. So often, we're just listening so we can figure out what we're going to say next. This challenges us to listen with just one goal, to actually get what the other person is saying. Second, esteem their viewpoint. This one flows right out of the first one. If you're genuinely trying to see where they're coming from, you can stop so many misunderstandings before they even start. And third, look for their interests. This just means actively looking out for what the other person needs, not just what you want.
All right, but there's one more layer to this whole thing, a really deep one. Because according to our source, this humble mindset, it's not something we can just achieve with sheer willpower. There's a deeper, spiritual dimension that actually makes this kind of unity possible.
This idea is that true, lasting unity isn't something we just muscle through on our own. In Ephesians chapter 4, verse 3, the Apostle Paul talks about a unity of the Spirit. The idea is that this is something that's actively produced by the Holy Spirit, something that creates a genuine peace that joins us together. It's not something we can just cook up ourselves.
And this idea gets even stronger just a little bit later in that same chapter. In Ephesians 4:13, the text suggests that for this spiritual unity to really take hold, there has to be a common foundation. And that foundation is a shared faith and a shared understanding that comes from the teachings of Christ.
So what's the bottom line? What does it actually take to live this way? To esteem others, to look out for them, to seek this deeper kind of unity? It all boils down to something pretty intense. The source calls it a death to self, a conscious, deliberate choice to set aside our own selfish desires for the good of the people around us.
And that's what I want to leave you with today, a really big question to think about. If we actually did this, if we embraced this humble mindset, this focus on others, and this deeper source of connection, just imagine how radically different our relationships, our families, our whole communities could be. It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for watching.